For an international organized crime syndicate to be run effectively, there needs to be money, guts, manpower, and firepower. Luckily, the Sinaloa Cartel would have all these factors in abundance and then proceed to shake the state of Mexico and the rest of the international community in unimaginable ways. However, possessing such facilities came at a price. With all the money, guts, and firepower at the cartel's disposal, more enemies, local, governmental, and international, were gained. The infamous former leader of the cartel, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, had to learn this truth the hard way in 2017 when he was arrested, extradited to the US, given a life sentence, and consequently put out of the picture. With him out of the way, it seemed the cartel was in disarray, but money had to be made and the business had to go on. It was for this reason that El Chapo's sons, collectively called Los Chapitos, stepped into the limelight. The four sons, Ovidio Guzman Lopez, Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, inherited their father's legacy and continued to run the drug trafficking ring worldwide. They split control of the cartel among themselves, and with their father's longtime friend and fellow pioneer of the Sinaloa Cartel, Ismael Zambada Garcia, also known as El Mayo. Like El Chapo's sons, Zambada had also made his way to the most wanted fugitive list of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, but the drug lord remains off the radar despite the heat. The Los Chapitos proved to be more notorious than El Chapo. So notorious that the government had to release them whenever either one was caught to avoid a bloody confrontation with the Sinaloa Cartel. In October 2019, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador ordered the release of Ovidio Guzman after his arrest had caused a string of reactions from the Sinaloa Cartel against innocent civilians. Their notoriety found El Chapo's sons not only a high degree of fear from the public, but also the same wave of enemies as their fathers, if not more. The government could not apprehend them. The cartel was still making tons of profits, and they did not forget to show off their extravagant lives on social media. So it was not a surprise that lots of eyes were on them from allies and foes alike. Los Chapitos was not oblivious to the fact that they were not the most liked candidates in Mexico and abroad. So like their father, they hired their own hitman, Andrés Rubio El Gallo Manchaz, who was popularly called the Rooster. El Gallo allegedly led a group of assassins for the brothers, carrying out all sorts of illegal operations for the cartel. They were both the firepower and manpower of Los Chapitos, and no one dared to challenge them. That was until the night of April 11, 2022, when El Gallo was killed in San Felipe, Mexico. The 40-year-old El Gallo met his fate while eating tacos near the family home. La Opinión reported that he was just at a street stand when a group of gunmen in a vehicle opened fire on him and struck him 7 times in his face, chest, and abdomen. He was alive at the time the Red Cross paramedics got to him, lying in the middle of the street while fighting for his life. However, he was pronounced dead when he arrived at Comunitario Hospital around 10:30 p.m. local time. About 20 minutes away from the shooting site, the vehicle used by the assailants was found ablaze near a dump site where it was abandoned. News of El Gallo's assassination spread like wildfire. It was obvious that the security of Los Chapitos was threatened by this targeted attack. But the big question that remained was who and why? Who could have been brave or foolish enough to attack the most feared armed wing of Los Chapitos? Could it have been a rival group, a small gang, or the government? And what exactly was the reason for the attack? These questions would begin to haunt El Chapo's family, as it was a sign that there were people out there who could go to extremes to challenge their authority. It would be difficult to pinpoint the assassins who gunned Los Chapitos' hired muscle, considering the family had a long list of enemies. But as for the motive, there were insurmountable reasons why El Chapo's family, deemed public enemy number 1, would be attacked. The first and most obvious reasons is the family's history of violence in Mexico. Since the 1980s, nothing has rocked the state of Mexico more than the Sinaloa Cartel and its leader, El Chapo. The cartel specializes in money laundering and drug trafficking and has long since featured in the U.S.'s banned books. The Sinaloa Cartel has been acknowledged by the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, and other U.S. law enforcement authorities as the biggest, most powerful drug cartel of all time. It is often said that the group superseded Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel when it was in its prime. However, the syndicate's presence is not only appalling appalled by the West and the media, but also by some locals who have been caught in the crossfire whenever the cartel is at war with other forces. One of such continual wars will be between the Sinaloa Cartel and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the second most powerful cartel in Mexico. The rivalry between factions of the cartel and other groups always affects the livelihood of the locals. This has been reported officially by the Ombudsman's Office, an institution under the Colombian Office of the Attorney General. According to this report, violence emerging from Mexican syndicate groups within the first 2 months of 2021 had displaced more than 11,000 people from their communities within Colombia. Such is the case in other Mexican communities within the Sinaloa cartel's sphere of influence. So it won't be unreasonable to buy the idea that a group of aggrieved locals with connections to other syndicates had planned and carried out the assassination of El Gallo out of spite for the years of maltreatment the cartel has caused them. If that explanation seems a bit far-fetched, it might be more understandable if it was indeed another rival gang, endowed with the guns and men who had plotted the attack. This would have been the case if such a group had a score to settle with the Los Chapitos. But if that was not the case, then there was one other possible motive for the hit on El Gallo: the bounty. In 2019, the U.S. placed a $5 million bounty on El Chapo's sons. A News on Border report revealed that the White House was more than willing to give the reward to anyone who could provide information leading to the arrest of any of the sons, two of whom, Joaquin Guzman Lopez and Ovidio Guzman Lopez, had already been indicted by the U.S. Department of Justice. This could serve as enough motive for anyone to attack the four sons, and El Gallo's death might have just been the beginning. Another reason why the chief of security for El Chapo's family was killed may not have been due to retribution by the locals, rival differences, or a battle for reward money, but perhaps as punishment against the family for their incessant show of extravagance, especially on social media. If Los Chapitos were not always hunted by the Mexican government and U.S. federal authorities, they could easily pass as self-acclaimed celebrities or social media influencers. This is owing to the fact that each member of Los Chapitos, as well as the El Chapo family, has never been afraid to bring out the big guns for the public to see, both literally and figuratively. Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar shared posts on his Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook accounts. On these accounts, he blatantly showcased luxury cars, jets, car keys, women, vacations, gambling trips, and alcohol. Most times he posted his weapons and drugs without consequence. The only thing he deems worthy enough to be kept secret from watchful eyes are the faces of people in his posts and license plate, which he left blurred out. In addition, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, like his brother, does not hesitate to flash his lavish lifestyle on social media. Money, drugs, guns, private planes, luxury cars, and alcohol are never hidden from his social media feeds. Despite the fact that he's also on the DEA's most wanted fugitive list, he still lives his life to the fullest, not caring about who was watching. Such posts are often appreciated by fellow friends and associates, and the brothers also have tens of thousands of followers under their names on Instagram. Apart from Los Chapitos, other members of Chapo's family are also quite flashy on social media. This includes Chapo's wife, former American beauty queen Emma Coronel Aispuro. The 29-year-old showcases her wealthy lifestyle on Instagram, often posting pictures of herself in bikinis on elaborate vacation and photos of expensive apparel and accessories. She even threw a lavish Barbie-themed birthday party for her 7-year-old daughters. As if her already publicized extravagant lifestyle was not enough, she proceeded to create and run an Instagram account for her husband, El Chapo, who is still incarcerated in the US. The account is filled with pictures of Chapo and has gained over 20,000 followers. Although their social media habits may superficially point to El Chapo's family living their best lives, yet it may not seem that way to the rest of the Mexican and international community, especially since dirty money is used to fund their lifestyle. This fact could have pushed some people to target the family, since they have caused a lot of hardship to the populace and were obviously and publicly living off of people's pain and suffering. One of these factors would have led to the attack on Los Chapitos that night. However, since there is no clear answer, El Chapo's family has been left with nothing but uncertainties about their safety. It was not all too surprising, therefore, that with the security weakened, Ovidio Guzman would later be arrested in January 2023 in Culiacan once again. The assassination of El Gallo put El Chapo's family, and the quest to find out who had done it has haunted the Los Chapitos. It could very well be a contributing factor to Ovidio Guzman Guzman Lopez's ill luck when he was arrested in January. El Chapo's family are new to a barrage of attacks, having suffered multiple attacks from the government, assassinations, and the media. Surviving these attacks may have afforded them feelings of invisibility. But after the incident on April 11th, 2022, the notorious leaders of the Sinaloa Cartel know they could as well be sitting ducks to someone's rifle. Who owns that rifle is still uncertain, but the family knows better than to not watch their backs. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. Thank you.